Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another manga review for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 279, titled The League of Villains versus the UA Students. So yes, in this chapter, we get the confrontation that we've all been looking forward to, the League of Villains versus the UA students. And before we get into this chapter, and I would like to start by saying, if you like my manga reviews, if you like the content that I am bringing to this channel, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, leave a like and comment, and do all of that cool stuff. And with that out of the way, let's get right into this chapter. But in actuality, before we get into the chapter, I really want to talk about the color page that we have for this chapter. It's a double page color spread where we get to see pretty much all of the most popular characters, where we see all of the students from UA, we see the teachers, we even see the big three there as well. We also get to see little Airy there. We get to see all of these characters, and they all look like they're having fun. They're all in a party, and this color page, double page spread is in commemoration of the fact that My Hero Academia has been running in the manga of Shonen Jump for 6 years, and that is amazing. Mainly because I remember when I started reading My Hero Academia, I watched the anime when it came out, but after I watched the anime, after I watched the second season, I immediately dived into the manga and read up to where chapter 100, and then from there I've been reading it ever since, and it's just unbelievable that it's been 6 years since My Hero has come out, so it's amazing. And from this double page color spread, it's most likely implying that we're possibly going to get another popularity poll, because when it comes to My Hero, we normally get a popularity poll every year. Even though we're in like this strange time, I do not believe that we won't get one at all. And I think that this is just showing that, yeah, we're gonna have a popularity poll because we see all of these popular characters. So I cannot wait for that to happen and see who's gonna be number 1, who's gonna be number 2, who's gonna be number 3. I mean, you may think like, oh, it's obviously going to be Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto, but if you don't remember correctly, in the less popularity poll, Shigaraki was like 5th or 6th. So, you know, he was in the top 10, as well as Batoga. And I think that after these few chapters, he may go up in the ranks. He may be number 3. Who knows? But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I think it's just a very cool double page spread. But with that out the way, let's really get into the meat of this chapter. And to start off this chapter, we actually get 2 students from Class 1B that we know fairly well. We see Juzo Mudman, as well as we see Tokage, who's the lizard girl who's able to separate her body parts. So we see them, and we see that Juzo Mudman is using his quirk to soften up the ground as a way to trap Gigantomachia, which is something that I totally thought was going to happen. It just seems very logical. And we've also seen how Juzo was able to use his quirk when he went up against that entire platoon of villains with the help of She-Mage. So it just makes sense that he would use his quirk, or Momo would use his quirk to find a way to trap Gigantomachia, which, spoiler, it does play a role in trapping Gigantomachia into the ground. But then we also get to see Tokage, lizardy, and we see that she not only is like making sure that Mudman is able to get out the situation after he's activated his quirk, but she's also acting as surveillance to see how far Gigantomachia is from the other students. So that's very interesting how she's able to use her quirk in that way. And something else that comes up in the dialogue between them is how they worry about Monoma's group and if they're safe. So this just shows that even though Class B does not have the same focus as Class 1A, they have a similar relationship with each other. How Monoma is the trouble child of the group, but they still worry about them because they are friends. Even though they may not act like the traditional friends, they still are friends in the same vein as the kids in Class 1A are also friends and how they care about each other. So that's just a good bit of dialogue to see in this chapter. And then from there, we get the page where we see all of the students from Class UA that are going to be participating, either fighting off the League of Villains or helping in the trapping of Gigantomachia. So from here, let me see if I can get this on one try. I'm not gonna get this on one try, but I will try. From here, we see Kaminari, Kirishima, Ashido, Shoji, Yuri Kodai, who has the Ultraman costume. We see Kendo, we see Beast, aka Shishida, We also see Aoyama. We also see Sato. We also see Ojiro. We also see the girl with the poltergeist quirk, Yanagi. We also see the Vine Girl, Shiozaki. We also see Sero. We also see Tetsu there. And we also see Kurahiro, who's able to control white black. We also see Hagakure, Jiro. As I said, we have Juzo, Mudman. We have Shimage, Komori. We have Mineta. We have Tokage, the lizard lady. We have Shota, the kid who's able to like double impact, able to like give things like double hit. We have him there as well as you have like the hand of like Momo, but she's also there. So there's like around a total of 23 UA students here who are ready to fight off the League of Villains, as well as Gigantomachia. And from here, this is where we get the confirmation that the students do know that the League of Villains are on the back of Gigantomachia, and they know this because they saw these blue flames coming out from his back. And the only characters that we know in the story that have blue flames is Dabi. Dabi's a part of League of Villains, so they put it together. And so they are anticipating having a confrontation with the League of Villains. And then from here, the next few pages are just flashbacks explaining what the plan is. And to basically sum it up, Momo, Tokage, and Mudman went to set the traps. The main gist of the plan is that they're going to trap him underground with Mudman's quirk, and then use the vines from Shiozaki and Mineta's balls to also trap him again and use them as like leverages to basically open up Gigantomachia's mouth to throw in the anesthetic. And from here, we get the confirmation that you just need to throw in one of the bottles of anesthetic that Momo made, which would be enough to supposedly put Gigantomachia to sleep. And Momo even says it in the chapter that it would be more effective if they could just inject it directly. This is the type of anesthetic it is. It's something that should be injected, but it can be taken orally. But from what she's saying, it's just more effective, which ties into an idea that I had about the anesthetic of how it may not put Gigantomachia to sleep now, but it may put him to sleep later on. So he may escape from this trap, which in actuality, from what we have right here, that may actually not be likely. They may just keep Gigantomachia out of the fight with Shigaraki, but if he does escape, then he may pass out in Jakku City, and that's what they're kind of possibly alluding to in these few pages. And something interesting that I saw is that you have Mineta, who is worried about Midnight, and then you have Ashido coming to comfort him and say, it's gonna be all right, we'll be back to the class in no time. And from here, I'm like, death flag. That is a death flag right there, and this death flag is even confirmed more at the end of the chapter. So I want to talk about the possibility that Ashido may die, which, you know, would be horrible, but it would make more thematic sense if she were to die. Or from what I'm predicting is she's not going to die, but she's going to possibly be incapacitated, if not for the rest of this war arc, for the next possible few arcs, because it would be like more of like a poetic justice type of thing, because she either loses her life or she goes to a coma against Gigantomachia, which would most likely cause Kirishima to like go up against Gigantomachia, because there's this theory that Gigantomachia will go up against Kirishima and Kirishima will take him out. And what would give Kirishima more motive to do that if he comes to realize it's like, oh, you're that villain that I saw multiple years ago that Ashido tricked and was able to send away while protecting the students, but you also hurt her, as well as the connections that Ishido has with Gigantomachia. So this would possibly be set up for Kirishima versus Gigantomachia by either having Ishido die, which I hope doesn't happen, but at the very least she's going to be comatose or incapacitated. And this is just a point of, hey, death flag, death flag, death flag. That's all I can really say about that. And then from there, we cut back over to the present, where we see Gigantomachia is still running on a rampage, heading towards the direction of the students, while Mount Lady is still hanging on his leg. And she makes a comment of like, senpai, wake up, come on, you gotta get your shit together. So it's implying from this translation of the manga that Komoyu Woods has passed out, and even though Gigantomachia is still being held back by Mount Lady, he probably cannot hold her back that much in reference to Kamui Woods because he's unconscious, which, you know, if you're set on fire and you feel all of that pain, you shouldn't be surprised when he gets passed out. But you want to know what actually is surprising? Yeah, Gigantomachia falls for the sinkhole. Yeah, he just got fooled by some Team Rocket shiznits right here. So yeah, Gigantomachia actually falls into the mud pit that Momo came up with Mudman. And let me just say this, it's so amazing how he's trapped, because he's surprised by this, but also just the sound and him being trapped in this mud causes the heroes or the villains that are fighting to just stop and look. There's just like, all right guys, let's fight. Boom, what the heck was that? So they just stop in the tracks, as well as, you know, Gigantomachia is also stuck in his track. And then from here, the plan goes into action. All of the heroes are here, they're just like, go, go, go. And we see that Gigantomachia is being trapped by the vines and Mineta's balls, you know, his sticky great balls that he pulls off his head. Yeah, remember that. I literally told y'all about this like at the beginning of this chapter, how they were setting it up. And yeah, it comes into fruition. They use that to have it trapped on his head, and the main reason why they have them is because they're going to use the vines, as well as use the vines from Shiozaki, to try and pull Gigantomachia's head downward so that they can throw the anesthetics in his mouth. And so you have some of the more heavy hitters, the strength based heroes, where you see Sato, Kendo, and Beast, how they're trying to pull Gigantomachia's head downward to try and put the anesthetics in. And the League of Villains like, oh, I guess they've been hiding here around the whole time. And something interesting I want to bring up is that you just have Toga, and her eyes are shrouded in shadows, and she just has these little dots. She doesn't really say anything in this chapter, but that one panel is very disturbing, and I think that she may actually play a role if Gigantomachia does escape. I think that she may play a role in this, and it may be to a point where she may take over as Ashido. Like when I was talking about how Ashido may be comatose, I think with that thought process, she may get into her mind like, I have to infiltrate the heroes and like make them pay for what they did to Twice. So I think that she's probably planning something in her head that may lead to Gigantomachia escaping. From talking about that scene with Toga, another very interesting scene, and this scene just starts after we see Toga. We just see the students just going in on the heroes. This is where the true confrontation this is where the title really begins. The League of Villains versus the UA students starts here, and really enough, it starts with Ayama firing off his first shot, his laser buffet with the help of Shoji and Ojiro going to fight off the villains. And this, like I said, this is where the real fight is. You see Ayama firing off his lasers, and then from here you also see that Jiro is trying to use her earphone jacks to try and attack the League of Villains from the side, but Dabi uses his flames to burn her. So you know, if you're a Jiro fan right now and you hate Dabi, yeah, you probably hate Dabi right now. He burns Jiro's earphone jacks, but it doesn't look like she took a whole lot of damage from it. But yeah, but then you see that you think Shoji and Ojiro are going to get in on the fight, but then you see these little flying discs come from the air, and you see that one of them may attach to Dabi's code, another one attaches near where Toga is, another one attaches on Mr. Compress's feather, another one is almost attached to Spinner's arm, and Skeptic is just covered head to toe in these little pointers. And you may be wondering, like, what, like, who did this? And with the help of Poltergeist, floating in the air is Kaminari, and he's ready to like release his electricity. He's thinking to himself, oh, with these pointers I won't have to hurt my allies, I'm gonna shock the League of just gets hit by rubble. So Mr. Compress yet again comes in with his marbles and just throws the debris of Kaminari. Just, it doesn't look like he's really injured, but like it looks like he took the brunt of that hit, and he may be incapacitated for the rest of his turn. And Mr. Compress, just being Mr. Compress, is like, you need to be careful now, do ya? I got these little stones from the villa, you know, the ones that y'all destroyed, but unfortunately I exhausted all of my stocks. So Mr. Compress, being Mr. Compress, attacking Kaminari, but it's fine, because the heroes, the students, the plan's still going in motion. Everything is going okay. the heroes that have the anesthetics, they're like, okay, all we have to do is throw it in the mouth. They're going towards Gigantomachia's mouth. They're about to throw it in. And wait, what is Gigantomachia doing? Why is he taking in a good deep breath? Oh no, what is he doing? What? You see Gigantomachia taking in the big breath and blows away all, if not most of the students in the area. You see them flying back. You see Momo being flung back. You see Mineta also being flung back. You see all of these heroes being flung back. And you may be thinking like, oh man, they were so close. But it's fine. They have another chance. Nope. Dabi comes in, uses his flame, whoosh, sets some parts of the forest on fire. And then from here, we get Dabi giving a little bit of exposition on Gigantomachia as a creature. Because he begins to explain, at least we know for a fact, two of Gigantomachia's quirks. One of them is that he has a quirk that means that he cannot feel pain, which is interesting because I think that could also tie into why the anesthetics may not work. Because let's say he can't feel pain, the anesthetics, what does anesthetics do? It puts you to sleep, but it also like numbs certain areas. So that may be the reason why if he does fall unconscious, it may take a while because he's blocking out the pain. Most likely he's blocking out the nerve receptors, the signals that will signal for him to feel pain, as well as like to feel sleepy. So he may not be able to feel the anesthetic immediately, but he may feel it later. So that the reason why that quirk is being explained could tie into why Gigantomachia may not stay in the mud. But then Dabi also talks about how he's able to convert energy into body size, which I find to be very interesting because it probably explains why Gigantomachia doesn't move until given an order by Shigaraki. Most likely he's storing up energy so that when he's able to like move and act and fight, he's able to increase his body size. That may be the reason why he's so large and is able to carry the League of Villains on his back, in contrast to the first time we actually see him with the confrontation between Ashido and the students, why he was smaller than a building, while now he's like as big as a mountain. So that is kind of explaining the differences in sizes. And we also get more confirmation that he has multiple of the quirks. Now Dabi says a guy like this is perfect to be a bodyguard. So these are only like two of the quirks that Gigantomachia has. And we don't know the other possible quirks. We possibly know they would probably be super strength, super speed, endurance. Like he probably has extremely tough skin, but he could possibly have more quirks than that. So it kind of builds upon the layer of like what Gigantomachia is and the types of quirks that he could have, and how the heroes could potentially be defeated by him. So with the exposition of Gigantomachia's quirks out the way, we get the feeling that he's about to escape. He's lifting out of the ground. The kids are afraid. Shime brings up the point that her mushrooms have been burned away, and it's like, we can't get close to the fire. Oh no, he's about to escape. Oh no, he's about to get out. But no, because Momo says, not yet. As we see Gigantomachia about to get up, he immediately falls back to the ground, begins to sink even deeper, and that is because Momo is the freaking GOAT. Because Momo is smart enough to realize that, hey, just in case like he tries to get out and like we have no way to make the hole deeper, yeah, I put explosives at the bottom of the mud pit, so when they triggered, it just made a bigger hole for him to be stuck in. And the League of Villains are just thinking, like, seeing what's happening to Gigantomachia, and Spinner is like, oh, well, you know, Gigantomachia could just dig his way out of here, so it's going to be fine. Y'all think that y'all stopping us? No, we're the League of Villains. You can't stop us. Spinner is on his high horse. That is immediately brought down by Mr. Compress by saying, but if he did that, we'll die. And Spinner just went from like 100 to 0, just, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to do this dying thing. And then from here, we get more dialogue between Compress and Spinner, where the League of Villains finally come to the realization that, yeah, the reason why he's probably not going to do that, even though that's faster, is because he probably got an order from Shigaraki to bring us back alive. And while he's doing this, Skeptic is like yelling at them, it's like, hey, guys, y'all should really focus more, because while they're talking, Mount Lady frees herself from Gigantomachia's legs, slams into his like head slams into the ground and is trying to open up his mouth, as well as we see other heroes coming to fight the League of Villains, while we get Mount Lady being another goat in this chapter. She says, hey, y'all may want to stop talking. By the way, Gigantomachia, say ya! So she comes to the realization that these kids have been trying to open up Gigantomachia's mouth. So she is smaller than Gigantomachia, but she may be big enough and strong enough to open his mouth so that someone can throw the anesthetic into his mouth. And you may be thinking, well, how can any of the students do that? Like, maybe Tetsu because he is resistant to fire, but didn't he get blown away? And what about the other student? Who could possibly throw the anesthetic into Gigantomachia's mouth without taking damage from the fire? I mean, you would have to have like some form of armor, but really, who has a form of armor that could protect them from the flames? So I'm not gonna leave y'all hanging for a while. Ashita. Sashito. I already told you I was gonna be Ashita. I told you that before we even got to this point. Ashido comes in with her acid man, planning on throwing the anesthetic into Gigantomachia's mouth as the chapter ends. And let me just say, I really did enjoy this chapter. I think this is a very good chapter, and especially in comparison to the past chapters that we have, where we've seen Shigaraki being a great villain, where we've seen him like just body the pro heroes. The pro heroes and the students have been on the decline since Shigaraki has awakened, and this chapter just shows, oh, no. You think this is gonna be a one-sided slaughter fest? Nah, they're heroes. They're students, but they're also heroes. They're gonna put up a fight. They're not gonna take this laying down. And from this chapter, yeah, they do that. Sure, they take like a fair amount of damage, you know, with Kaminari being taken out of this fight by Compress most likely. But we see that within a short notice, they were able to like shut down Gigantomachia, like straight up. Like, yeah, like if it was like just Gigantomachia, they would have shut him down immediately. Like, the only reason why Gigantomachia at this moment was able to fight as well as he was and able to like get out of the situation almost is because of the help of Dabi and the League of Villains. If the League of Villains weren't on Gigantomachia's back, first of all, the Gigantomachia probably would have thrown it on the ground, so they wouldn't have had no way of actually trapping him. But second of all, they probably would have, if not successfully, could have put down Gigantomachia on their own if it wasn't for the interference of League of Villains. And I think this just shows that these students are on the level, if not higher, than the pros, because the pros were unable to stop him. Mount Lady was being dragged against on the ground by Gigantomachia, was unable to hold him back. Kamui Woods was unable to hold him back. Midnight was unable to hold him back. But the students, they did more than any of the pro heroes were able to, and most likely they will put Gigantomachia to sleep. And as I said, they may not do it now, which would, like, you may think like, oh, then they technically didn't do it. But in comparison to the other heroes that had no chance, these students actually had a chance, and that chance is working well. Obviously, at the end of this arc, the villains will come out victorious, but I think this just shows that the heroes are putting up a good fight. It's just not going to be the one-sided slaughter fest that many people are expecting, as well as I was expecting when Shigaraki woke up. It's going to be more of a back and forth, and I think I find that to be great because it's cool to see just the villains dominate, but it will be even better if you see that, yeah, the villains are dominating, but they still have to struggle. And I think this just shows that even as children, they're giving the League trouble. And just imagine how much trouble they could have given them if they were 2, 3, 4 years into actually being heroes. If they only had like maybe like another year, they could potentially take out the League of Villains right here. But because they're still students and they do not have the same experience as the pros, they won't be able to, which leads into the idea of that they may take another year. There may be a time skip where they train and come back and defeat the villains, and I think this is just going to be more set up to that. So all in all, Really did enjoy this chapter. Really did enjoy the fact that we finally get to see the students go up against the League of Villains, because when you really think about it, throughout this entire story, we've never really seen a true confrontation between the students and the League of Villains. We've seen them here and there, mainly in like the forced training camp arc, but since then we haven't really seen them go up against each other, and I think this is just a good way to show like the possible matchup, as well as building up possible things that are going to happen in the chapter, building up that Mina may die or fall unconscious or comatose in this chapter with the deck flags that are planted here, as well as seeing that Toga may have a plan in mind to disrupt the heroes as well that could lead to the freeing of Gigantomachia, but then also seeing that possibly Gigantomachia may not be put to sleep now, but will eventually be put to sleep, bringing the villains to Jakku City, and he may pass out there, which could lead to the League of Villains taking over a city and leaving the heroes to run away in terror. So overall, really did enjoy this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed this review of this chapter. Leave a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more reviews like this, do all of that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video. Goodbye. Woo! Bang!